Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday before Christmas. Bells will be ringing, reindeer flying, or I don't know how that song goes. I have no idea. But anyway, Merry Christmas. And I've got one of my favorite people, Mr. Emerson Williams here, also known as Jake from State Farm with the khakis and the red sweater going on. So that's right. He is a State Farm insurance office owner, business owner. In Smyrna is where his office is, but he covers all over the place, right?
Yes, in the entire state of Tennessee. We're wide open, and a lot of everybody knows us as a State Farm agent. But one of the things that Jonathan just shared with you that we are actually independent owners. So each State Farm agent's office you see, it's their business. Some are sole proprietors, some are S corp, some are LLCs. So.
And I think that's important distinction there, and we'll talk a little bit about this. We're going to dive into that, but I think that's very important to distinguish that you are not an employee of State Farm.
No,
you own your insurance company,
and I pay my employees. So whenever you start seeing the things about the government and everything else, we are small business owners, just like the majority of people that are.
It's like a real estate agent.
Yeah.
I'm not a Keller Williams employee.
No, you have a contract with Keller Williams, said, hey, you're going to be our exclusive guy. And that's the contract that I've signed with State Farm, that I'm going to be their exclusive guy, selling their products. But at the end of the day, everything comes across my desk. And that's if my employees makes mistakes, or even not only if I make mistakes, but also if my employees make mistakes or whatever else, it comes to me.
And it also incentivizes you to fight for your clients. So because they are your clients.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I have people that'll stop by and it sounds almost confusing to them. They say, well, can you take our payment? And I was like, I know I cannot take your payment because, you are with this particular agent. And they're like, well, they think State Farm is just one umbrella.
Sure.
But, we're coming up on one.
And the umbrella is a totally different brand altogether.
It's totally different. And
that's Travelers, right?
Yeah. And what I would say this right here is we have a corporate side, and that's where I came from. I came from the operation and corporate side, and then we have the people who actually sell the promise. But the backhand people are the ones who help fulfill our promises that we sell. So it's a nice partnership, but you have to me, I really understand of sitting down with my team and making sure they understand it's a partnership. It's not them versus us, even though, we're there for our customers, but at the end of the day, it's one brand, one umbrella, but we have to be, brothers and sisters across the country with 19,000 agents nationwide.
Wow. Well, before that's the prequel. Now we're going to do the opening credits. So Mr. Brian Nail over at Iberia Bank Mortgage, he stopped by and saw me today. He is the guy that provides the underwriting for this show. So thank you, Brian, for keeping Table Talk alive, where there is always room at the table. And so we love to talk to different folks and just hear stories and hear about you, how you got where you are. Your story is fascinating. So we're going to dive into that here in just a minute. So if you do need a mortgage out there, do hit up Mr. Brian Nail, but State Farm does mortgages as well. Are you in that?
This is the thing. We are partnered. We have different partners, and right now we're partnered with Rocket Mortgage, and we can actually. I'm not a licensed mortgage license originator. In 2022, that's actually what we're working towards to get that situated. But we do have some agents that are already in that realm. But they've been hearing some good stuff with the mortgage. But of course, I like to keep stuff local.
That's right. Well, hit up Brian if you need a real estate, any kind of real estate help. Give me a call. Tell you what, the market has been nuts these last 2 weeks. We always get a little bump right here going into the holiday break, and that has definitely been the case. So it's been a little crazy. And then, of course, if you need insurance, give Emerson a call.
Yeah. You reach out to us, 615-459-2683. And you can Google us at Emerson Williams State Farm. And I'm happy to say of all the State Farm offices in Rutherford County, we have the most Google reviews, 5-star. So I'm very appreciative of that.
That's awesome. I love that. So let's talk about you for a minute. So first of all, kind of some backstory here. I got to know you, of course, through Rotary. Emerson and I are both Rotarians out of the Smyrna Club, and very active. You were probably the most active when we went to Zoom meetings of anybody in our club. You were at every single Zoom meeting.
And I haven't been back since.
No, I know. Now you have once, haven't you?
I have not, since they had the Zoom, because of just how the nature of how everything's going on right now. So that was, it's been a challenge, but I was really open because that's pretty much for 2020. And Jonathan knows that basically I ran my office, and also had my son with me from first grade, from kindergarten all the way through his entire first grade, was spending in my office.
Yeah.
And we run the office, State Farm, and my team was awesome because they let a first grader, and that's tough.
Yeah.
But it gives you a respect of everything that's going on. But with technology,
your son is cool though, man. He is energetic, and he is inquisitive. And he's just fun. That day that he was in the office when I was in there, he's a neat kid. So.
Yeah, he is awesome. And he has a lot of me, and it has a little bit of his mom in him, but he has a lot of me.
All the good parts.
Well,
over there, right?
Yeah, well, the good parts of the detail and understanding that, but paired with my gift of gab,
yeah,
he's something else. But I'm very proud of him. I got a very good story about him last week. He saw somebody at school, one of the educational assistants, and she had did something, had a boot on, and he went and prayed for her.
Oh wow!
And to me, but that's him. That's all we've known him to do. But it's always good when somebody tells you, "Hey, your son pulled somebody up the side and prayed for them." And especially during this time with everybody got going kind of crazy. When a kid can still know where his center and his foundation is, it means so much. And that was the most rewarding thing that I heard last week.
That is awesome. In a world that has just gone completely selfish, for him to pause and take that time and to not think about him, to think about her.
And that's him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And
you're doing something right, man.
Well, the thing about it, God has positioned us to be stewards of everything. And I talked to you about that with my family first, and also my team. So some of the decisions, I was talking to a customer yesterday, was very belligerent because of decisions that I made. But it takes courage during this time to be what I call a servant leader. And I have to live it, and it's not always beautiful. But to me, at the end of the day, I can go to sleep, and I know Jesus has positioned me to show what we do in our office to reflect the community that I want. And that's, like you said, you have to have a part into it. So
we're going to talk about that community for a second, because you've done some really cool things with your office.
Yes,
that you've shared with me in the past. So let's start with you for a sec. So. You're not from around these parts, is that right?
No. My family's been here. My American family has been here for over, as far as I can go back, over 200 plus years, out towards the Walter Hill area. And they, after Reconstruction, made some decisions. That's why education is so prominent in my family. Then I have another side of my family, like all of my brothers and sisters are in Nigeria. My dad was one of the first Nigerian students, African students, to go to MTSU in the 70s. So when we started allowing people to come from outside the country, he was one of the first immigrant students, and met my mom. And that, then mom had me at a real late age, didn't think she could get pregnant, and got pregnant, and
surprise,
there you go. And dad was back in overseas, implementing what he learned here at MTSU. So, pretty cool, a little different background.
A little bit different. Yeah, you got people spread out all over the place. We were talking about WhatsApp just now. I saw something about do you want to send this in WhatsApp? And I'm like, what's WhatsApp? And you're like, oh, that's what I use to communicate it with my family overseas.
And that's what happens. And if you talk to anybody that has family overseas, they use WhatsApp, no matter if they're from India or anything else. But it's actually a platform that Facebook ended up buying. They did so well that Facebook ended up buying. But that's when I reach out to them. I can text, I can call them. And these are third world countries, and they're so resilient. They figure out stuff way before we do of how to do things and get around, because they have to.
Right.
It's life or death. There are tons of blackouts over in Nigeria, most populous country on the continent of Africa, one of the top, 5 oil producers in the world.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and it's so impoverished because what they do is Nigeria was colonized by the British for a while. They actually had their first independence in 1960. But what they do is They divide the oil by the percentage of ethnic background. The official language in Nigeria is English because you have over 95 different languages, depending on what state. So,
Oh, wow. Are these tribal languages?
Some are tribal, some are just state. So, kind of think about Tennessee. It's like you go to Kentucky and they speak a totally different language.
That's 100% true. I can't understand anybody from Kentucky. And we're not even talking about Mississippi.
There you go. You said that, I didn't. That's all Mr. Harmon right there. I'm a friend of everybody in the SEC.
That's funny. That's funny. So you were talking about education in your family. Your father comes over as a student at MTSU. Here comes Emerson, and kind of what was that growing up like with?
My dad was not here, so I had a lot of stories of my father because he was so, and that's the thing about it. Some of these countries are so impoverished that you want to go back and give everything you got to get your country going in the right direction. So it's not about what he wanted to do. It's more about what was best for his country, what was best for him.
He felt an obligation.
There you go. And and I met he became a principal first, and then he became the dean of education for universities over there. When I say education is very, very important, literally there's a joke that goes around with Nigerians, and they said you always have an engineer, a doctor, and a lawyer in each family. And literally my brothers, sisters are the same. That I have one brother that's a lawyer, congressman, and then I have another sister that is a neurologist. She visits pretty often. And then I have a brother that's a biomedical engineer, and there are some other ones, and they call me the sales guy. They said the sales guy. Yeah, they said you wasted your education until they found out what State Farm agents actually did. And my brother's best friend lives up in Boston. He's like, no, that's a pretty good job. It's doing well. And he's like, okay, well, our brother's doing well for himself.
Well, come on in, sales guy.
Well, yeah, they said, why would you waste your education? And I was just funny. Like, but all of my siblings are educated because in our area, our family's known for education. Our dad was a very strict disciplinarian. I didn't grow up with him, so I have my mom, the American side, like it's not that big of a deal. And he literally, when he moved over here, he was like, "What's wrong with you?" But this is a cat that when he was over here 4 years, he graduated with a bachelor's and 2 master's degrees in 4 years.
Wow!
But
it's about the business then.
Well, that's what my mom said. The only way she could date him is go to the library. Seriously.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. So, so you graduate from MTSU?
I started off with Head Start. I'm a Head Start. I went to We Care Daycare on Hancock. I went to Head Start. Everybody looks at McFadden now. It's like, oh, no, McFadden. No, when I grew up, McFadden was rough, and Head Start was right next door to.
It was.
And that's where I went. I went to Head Start, went to Mitchell Nelson, literally right on. This is my side of town that I grew up. Went to Mitchell Nelson Primary, Elementary, Central Middle, Oakland High School, and finished up at MTSU.
So you're a product of Rutherford County.
Murfreesboro, yeah,
that's right. And so what did you go to school for?
Business.
And then what did you do right out of school?
Couldn't find a job because this was right after that tough time right after September 11th. So that early recession that we were going into. Couldn't find a job for a year and a half, so I substitute all over Rutherford County.
Oh.
Well, I actually loved it.
Bless your heart.
Well, I loved it. I just didn't like how the system was set up because you had some cool kids there who wanted more. But I did not understand how the system was set up. And even with the schools that their hands are tied, it's more about keeping from being sued.
That's true.
And then it's more about everybody's looking out for what's best for them and their benefits, and then the students. So where my folks are from, my dad's people, education is the number one. Your highest paid people are your doctors, scientists, and educators. Is on the same level as just being a doctor, same level as being that's a respected job. Like that's like if you're gonna go somewhere. That's why he came over here. He came over here to become an educator.
Isn't that something? We talk about. Of course, we do the Teacher of the Month thing with the J. Harmon Home Team, and the lip service, the what is said is teachers are respected. It's hard, and it's all of this, and we look up for our teachers, and take care of teachers. But then we don't really back that up, do we? As a culture.
Well, this is the thing. And I thought it was really interesting, Jonathan. And I said, I have a 90-year-old aunt that's still living. She was one of the earliest educators. So I had got her perspective of segregation, integration, post-integration. And it was amazing. The number one thing is poverty. And she said when she was taught, as they were sharecroppers, because my grandfather made a statement that he did not want, this was the last generation that was going to be on the field. He just put his foot down, and so she was the oldest child, and he said, you're going to school. And she said, that's how we got out of poverty. In retrospect, or just a parallel of that, my father was told the same thing overseas. This is how you get out of poverty. It's education. So it's not just for you, but this is for your generations. And my aunt, I'm happy to say, since her first degree in 1957 from Tennessee State, it wasn't Tennessee State at the time, we have over 75 degrees in our family. From being a sharecropper. I'm 2 generations.
I just got chills, dude.
Yeah, but check this out. 2 generations from slavery. I'm actually first generation to have 100% of my rights as a United States citizen. My son is, like you said, is 7 years old. Second generation of anybody live here in the United States to have 100% of his rights. And people don't understand what that means. 100% of your rights. Yeah. And we don't take it lightly. So there's a level of expectation here.
Yeah. Wow. I've never thought about that. The first generation to have 100%.
And me and you are around the same age.
Yeah.
My mother.
That's wild, isn't it?
Because I've been raised around, my mom was born in 1941. My dad was born in the 30s. Me and you about the same age. So when I sit there and I talk to people, my grandmother, my mom made sure that I watched them vote, because my grandmother was in her 40s before she could vote. My mom was in her 20s before she could vote, had the right to vote.
Right.
Pay taxes the whole time, but they had the right to actually walk into a machine, pick somebody, and she's in her 40s. She's around our age before anybody would allow her to walk in somewhere and
to participate in her own.
And she's been here.
Yeah.
And she worked. She's hard working. Everything that you say, paid it. Like I said, paid taxes. Never asked for anything from anyone. And
couldn't even pick her own leaders.
No, couldn't pick anything.
Yeah.
Couldn't pick where your kids went to school.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of my customers.
And couldn't even pick which, I mean, at some point, which water fountain or which door or which table or which.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my customers, and this is in Smyrna. So, on Old National Highway where Smyrna West is, right?
Yep.
That is an old historical area for African Americans in Rutherford County. I was not aware of this. So she's telling me we could go to school from kindergarten to 8th grade in Smyrna. Once they got to high school, the only high school was Holloway High School. So they had to get up and come all the way down to Murfreesboro. And I was not aware of that. I was like, you guys had to come. I knew my family went to Holloway, but they're from Murfreesboro.
Yeah.
But I did not know that these people from Laverne and Smyrna were having to get on a bus and come all the way, or get anywhere they can get there.
Yeah. I mean, that's 30 plus miles
every day.
One way.
There you go.
Yeah.
Every day.
That's wild. And so it's no wonder that people didn't finish.
Yeah. And it's just like you had kids and they had to meet quotas. They had to meet for the family, or they could be kicked off of the property they lived in, because with sharecropping, everything was so tied. The economics was tied to you hitting your number. So if your kids had to miss, and it was interesting, I'm a historian of my family. I go back and I look at census, and then I noticed that my aunts and uncles, certain ones would go to school at certain times. And that was because if my grandfather needed them to help out, they had to help out.
Otherwise he'd lose his home.
There you go. For his family. So he just was and my grandfather was, I guess, a whole nother level story of how he was just a rugged guy, man. I don't know how he made it. Got sent to war because he beat up somebody over here. Literally got sent to World War II. It's no kind of, oh, this is a heroic story. Nah, he got in. The judge was like, y'all like fighting so much, we're gonna send you over there. Yeah, so he's
talk about a cruel and unusual punishment in a way.
Well, this is the thing. We're big people in my family. his health was so bad they kicked him back out after he went through boot camp. So he made it, and the other guy had to go, and he died over there, which is crazy.
That is crazy, man. Well, let's talk about your office for a second, because this was something you and I've talked about a couple of different times, and I think this is really cool. One of my things has been for several years now is that it's important to be purposeful about what you do.
Definitely.
And especially when you're building a business. And you took that purposeful intentionality in your office and building your business to a different level. And there's going to be some people that listen to this and hear this, and they're going to look at this negatively. Okay. Cause they're going to think, anyway, I don't even want to put words in their mouth.
No, it's fair. But my thing is,
I want you to tell us lay it out there first, and then let's talk about the why. Okay.
And you tell me what you
I'm talking about the composition of your office staff.
Okay. From day one, I knew exactly when I went into business. I had in my mind for 9 years, because it took me that long to get to the point where I was a business owner, exactly what I wanted my business to look like. And for almost 10 years, I was a sales trainer for State Farm. And I was a financial service guy, but I'm a old country guy. So I make stuff sound really easy, like the Zig Ziglars and everything else. And they love the Southern accent and all that other stuff.
Sure.
And they figure if this big fat country guy can say stuff, and he can get it, I can sell it, and that's just pretty much what it was. And I understood it. So I went around the country, and God had positioned me to be around 40 out of 50 states. I worked in 42. I worked in Canada, and I saw a lot of different spaces. Now, most people that are in State Farm don't get to see that much. They only get to see what's around them. And so that becomes their reality. As I went there, I saw a makeup of God's great planet and what I figure heaven's going to look like. It looked like and sound like everything that you could possibly think about. And it was a beauty in it. And everybody had smiles. It's just different last name, different accents, no matter where you were. And being a child of an immigrant and seeing how my father was treated when he got over here, highly educated, but people treated him like he was not a smart guy. And they would look at him, make a decision, and he heard his accent, and they're like, oh, this guy don't know anything or whatever. And he's like, I tell you, this guy's extremely smart. I saw how my dad would have to run down and have to go get his green card and everything to Memphis. They tell you, hey, you got to go do this right now. So I had an understanding, a perspective. Also, as a child of somebody who grew up in segregation, I had that perspective as well. Me growing up the way I did, I grew up here in Murfreesboro over in Oakland. So I had a lot of different friends, everything, and we just hung out and we were just cool with each other. And then I found out everything's not like that as I got older. So my office is made up of just like what I come from. I have people from every shade, every accent. And when I say that, I share my background, but I have another, one of my team members is from Laos. She's not from Laos, but her parents are from Laos. She's first generation. Have another team member. She's half Caucasian, half Asian and Thai and Vietnamese. Have another one who just got here a couple years ago, actually 2 years this month, from Venezuela. I have another team member, my first hire, immigrated here from Puerto Rico at 4, and that's my team. And so people see, and when we talk about diversity, and I know when people get into diversity, and one of the things I challenge you to be open to everybody's perspectives being different from yours, but take it positive and look at it like Jesus Christ would look at it. Be open to it. And when I say it's diversity of thought,
that's right.
And diversity of thought means there's a term when I was in business school called group think. Me and Jonathan are Rotarians, so we similarly have, and we're business people, so we have very similar beliefs and core values. But what that prevents us from seeing is blind spots. But what of people who are not Rotarians? They're still good people, but we don't know because we're Rotarians. So everything that we make,
right, applying the 4-way test or what have you.
Exactly.
So what you had explained to me is that you look at the community that you're serving.
There you go.
And you say, okay, this community is X% of this, X% of
and
this, X% of this.
It
my office
needs
should
to reflect that.
Reflect that.
Should reflect that. Because if people come in from that different background, they can feel at home.
Mhm.
They feel like you want it. And what you'll find out,
There's a connection.
There's a connection. And we studied this in international business. I did it as an undergraduate, and I did it during my MBA program. International business, and it's pretty cool to see when you actually see it. When people sit down to me, like I have some of my Spanish speakers, in their culture, it's very important to sit down before they do business with you. They may just sit down for 2 hours and they're filling each other out and they're getting to know each other. And then they decide to do business, or they'll take one piece of business and says, hey, I'm here to translate for Jonathan. Here goes renter's policy. We just want a renter's policy. And as you start talking to them and you see that there's focus on you, energy, they say, you know what, nobody ever sat down, because they're not just a policy or a number. They understand that they matter, because we want to educate everybody. Because I always have a saying that you should know what's in your grocery bag. Because if you were at Walmart or Publix and somebody gave you a grocery bag and said, shit, Jonathan, man, this is, $300. Here you go. Best deal ever. You're like, okay, are you going to take the bag?
Not unless I know what's in it.
You might be allergic to something in the bag. So is it a good deal now?
Right.
If it was $1, is it a good deal?
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Not if it kills you.
There you go. and that's how I look at it.
Yeah.
So education is so important. So that's the first thing we do. We sit down and make people feel at home, and we care about them.
Well, and what I like about that is, some people think that purposeful diversity is just diversity for diversity's sake, and that there's some nebulous quota system somewhere that you're trying to meet. But again, it's back to that diversity of thought, diversity of background, experiences. That's it right there. And so, you went out there and you said, okay, look, we've got a huge underserved population in the town of Smyrna that speaks Spanish.
Exactly.
And it's not that they couldn't make it and accomplish what they need to accomplish through an English speaking person, but the comfort level. And insurance is all about the comfort level and peace of mind.
It's not just insurance. It's anything that's new that you're unaware of. And this is the way I always want to break it down to you. When I told you Nigeria, what's the official language of Nigeria?
You said English.
Okay.
How many people speak English?
This is the thing. I speak English, right?
Mm-hmm.
My brothers and sisters think I'm crazy because guess what? They don't understand my culture, and I don't understand their culture.
Right.
Because I grew up over here. All right. They are like, it doesn't make sense to them. So we understand language, but
you can speak Spanish, but that doesn't mean
you don't understand the nuances.
That's right.
And that's what we find out. There are certain words that don't translate well in Spanish, like it maybe in Puerto Rico, it means one thing, in Colombia it means another thing, and that's the stuff that we find out.
And Mexico and Spain are totally different.
I had a customer from Spain, and there were certain things and ways he pronounced stuff. I had another team member who used to work for me. He was half Irish, half Mexican, grew up on the border of Texas and Mexico, raised in Iowa, looks just like you. Swear to God, bald-headed, like you would not know.
He's handsome.
Hey, catch people off guard. And our Spanish speakers were looking like, okay, how does he know how to speak Spanish? And that was his background.
But the guy in Spain,
he couldn't understand him because he said there were certain ways he pronounced things that he did not understand. Just like in Puerto Rico, you have New York Puerto Ricans, and you have people that are deep from the islands that it's almost like us trying to understand
Scottish English,
swamp people.
Yes. Well, Scottish English, or some of the, I get that. That's pretty awesome. Well, I love that. And, you and I talked about that in the context of, our Rotary Club, for example.
Yes.
I would like to be more purposeful about getting folks to join our Rotary Club that more accurately reflects the community that we serve.
But you know what? And when we had our fish fry, people would come to me and talk to me. I never told you about this. They would come and talk to me and ask questions. And they only felt comfortable to talk to me because, okay, he's out here, and some of the stuff was embarrassing from our club's standpoint. But like when you say that, I feel that. Sometimes I'm not always aware that people feel the same exact way. I'm just I'm a realist. But I understand the way you look at it. You look at the way I am. In what our censuses are telling us, in 2035, in Nashville, there's going to be basically 1/3 of everybody. Everybody's going to be broken down, and we're going to have to learn to work with each other, even though we don't see that. So that's when I did my business plan and I did this digging. That's what I saw.
But it's more than that.
Mhm.
And this is, and I think this is where I've come from is, I have a good life. Right. And my life is made better by the people that I surround myself with.
But that's your mindset. See,
and I'm missing out. Here's the thing. I'm missing out if I don't know somebody whose family is from Nigeria. I'm missing out if I don't know Trent that came from North Carolina, because North Carolina, God love it. It's a totally different place.
And all over that's totally different.
Yeah. And I'm missing out if I don't know a swamp person, and I'm missing out if I don't know, I'm missing something.
And that was the beauty of it. So one of the things, and Jonathan, this was really cool. My team would start bringing me presents for Christmas, and they give us their backgrounds of how they celebrate certain things.
Yeah.
So the presents reflect their background.
Yeah.
And even though, like the young lady from Venezuela, she told me, she says, in Venezuela, she says, we celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve. Like how we celebrate Christmas Day, they do it on Christmas Eve late at night. Well, and it's pretty cool.
I bring the Interact kids from Smyrna High School to Rotary Club. Yes. And one of the children that I brought is of Karen descent.
And that's a whole nother community.
That's a totally different
first policy
from Myanmar, right?
Yeah, in Myanmar. And this is the thing about a lot of Christians don't understand. These are the persecuted Christians that we read about and hear. These people are dying
literally right now
because they say they love Jesus, and sometimes people are not aware of these people around, and they prejudge them. They look at them and make a conversation.
They celebrate Christmas in February, though. Did you know that?
Never heard that.
I didn't either. I learned that last week.
Most people don't even know who the Karen people are.
And we have a huge population here.
Huge population. First policy I ever wrote was somebody from the Karen community. And I had literally, because she couldn't speak English, and I, like I said, I was embarrassed by it. A policeman was treating her not right. And I actually came on a Sunday night, and we had a conversation, and he kind of let me know what he felt, and he made some prejudgments. But what I'm going to tell you this right here, Chief Arnold, and his team are some godly men. And when it wasn't right, they invited me in and let me talk to them. And they said, this is not how we do business. And 100%, I've seen Chief Arnold even come to Rotary. He said stuff that's not popular during this time.
I know.
And I was just like, wow. But as a leader, being very courageous and owning what was not right. And I walked away not knowing. And I told him, I said, when things are going right, well, I want to let you know. I don't want to just be like, hey, something's going on.
Right.
But, and him and his second in command are awesome.
Chief's a good dude. I think a lot of them. Shout out to Chief Arnold, by the way. Yeah, he's a really good guy. Well, Emerson, I want to hear. We're going to close up here in just a sec. What is your favorite Christmas story? Like your family tradition Christmas story. And it can be your current family. It can be your old family.
I can tell you, currently, as a family, 3, me, my wife, and my kid, we love the Jim Carrey Grinch. That's one. Now, the reason we're laughing at, I have one of the Friday after next is like by myself. My wife has told me, like, that's your Christmas. And that's why I started laughing, because she said, that's your Christmas. I'm like, no, it's not. And then I thought,
you said Friday after next?
Friday after
next. That's your Christmas movie?
Emerson only. and she told me
that's a good movie.
She told me that, and I looked back and I thought about it. She said she watched it like 2 to 3 times every Christmas, and I thought about it. I kept on telling myself it just happens to be on. She's like, no, it doesn't just happen to be on.
You happen to put the DVD in the DVD player.
There you go. I happen to stream it, and it just streaming Netflix.
I don't know how it happened, honey.
And that's exactly where it was. And then early on, before the Grinch, it was Home Alone, first Home Alone, with Macaulay Culkin, and that was, for a long time, and that was it. But
I'm an Elf fan. Are you an Elf fan?
I love anything that Will Ferrell's in,
yeah,
because he's just like acts like a huge kid, and I'm just like, and I'm just like, dude, he's doing the crap that I want to do, like buying the Hillbilly Hilton and stuff like that.
You were stuck on that. We were next door talking about that, and he's like. Your fiance must be cool. She lets you buy the Hillbilly Hilton
and put it in your front yard.
and put it in my front yard.
If you knew how much memorabilia that got kicked out of my office room, sent to my State Farm office, because my wife said, I think it'd be better over there. I have a Jerry Rice jersey sitting in the garage right now.
What?
Because it doesn't look right.
All-time leader in touchdowns
And yards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The man.
And the GOAT.
Yeah.
And so she puts all my stuff. She's put all
Well,
my
if you
stuff
need
out.
to, if you need to have a home for that jersey, I know somebody that
I got,
could, take care of it for you.
Hey, I got a lot of stuff, and I take care of it. I keep on telling me this next house that we get, there, I'm gonna put it in there and put these biometric locks. That's all I wanted since I was a kid. These biometric locks that nobody can go and disturb my stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I want for Christmas is the biometric lock.
Gotcha. That's a good one.
That's horrible.
No, it's awesome. I get it. I totally get it. For me, it's keeping my kids out. But anyway.
Well, that's what my son like, and he just he's starting to understand because he's gotten into sports and watching Bo Jackson. Because I got him stuck, Trent, in the 80s, and I got him thinking the 80s and the 90s are the coolest things ever. So
there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with Bo Jackson either.
So he was talking about, man, Bo's good. I said, back in the office, I got that. Go look on the wall. You got an autographed Bo Jackson picture? Yeah. Oh, I know. How did you? Hey, know somebody.
That's the man. That's how.
And he never realized that, man. But it was hilarious, man. So my wife's mad at that because we watched our Rocky last night, Rocky 3, because Mr. T is the toughest guy that ever lived.
That's right.
And so he's hooked on Karate Kid, and I have him thinking Top Gun and everything else is the best thing ever. And Mr. T is the toughest guy in the world.
You are doing it right, my friend.
And that's
you are doing it right.
Look, he's
parenting right here.
7-year-old with Mr. T wearing Mr. T t-shirts.
Do you have the gold? Do you have him a starter set yet?
Look at this. So
that's a yes, by the way.
No, when he was 7, I told him when I was 7, I decided to cut me a mohawk like Mr. T. I didn't know you had to do the back of it.
Yeah.
And I almost got killed by my mom. I had the chains and everything. And I got like, man, she about killed me because I didn't know you had to do anything to the back. It only looked cool up front.
Oh no, you got to go all the way. Man.
Well, I'm 7, man. I just knew how to make it look like that, and I literally got killed for that, man. But my aunts laughed so hard. My mom was so mad. My aunt said, "Here's the money. Go get the haircut." But I got.
Did she let you keep the mohawk, or was it all gone?
No mohawk. But I do have my Mr. T Galoop pull string that I just got off of eBay maybe 2 years ago. So I had that high to where he can't touch it.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
B.A. Baracus.
That's right. Yes, indeed. That's cool. That's a good tradition. I like that. Friday after next is Emerson's holiday tradition.
Only mine. My wife's like, and I just didn't realize that. She said, you watch it like 2 or 3 times. She's like, no, I don't. I'm like, oh, I guess I do.
I think you're just getting caught up because you don't have time any other time of the year. I'm trying to help you, man. Hey, I'm trying.
Sometimes you just like dumb stuff that just doesn't make sense.
I know. Actually, so Friday and Friday after next, they're great, but mine was Don't Be a Menace.
I've never seen that.
Oh my gosh. I am laughing on the inside so hard right now, and I'm trying to control it.
And is this the the Wayne brothers? Mm-hmm. Anything that they do, then that was just it's really, really good. So
it is one of the it's fantastic.
That's one of the ones I have not looked at. There's a lot of things I hadn't done.
Switch it up over the next week. Watch that one.
Never played Monopoly before.
Oh well, you're not missing anything there. That's an unpopular opinion right there. But
never played it. Never played it.
I've never finished a game of Monopoly. That's the problem. Finally, you get at some point, you're like, can we please just stop? Count your money. You win. Here. Yeah. All right. Well, that's awesome. So our big family tradition, we get together on Christmas Eve, and everybody comes in and crowds into my parents' living room, and that's when we have our family Christmas. So kind of like your friends, and then of course Santa comes on Christmas Day, but the family gets together on Christmas Eve. That's always our
She was telling me they go out and watch fireworks on Christmas Eve, and they watch fireworks, and then when the kids come back, Santa Claus
has been there.
There you go.
Smart. That's better than ours.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
The parade. And
I may outsource
that. Yeah,
that's nice.
Send them out to the parade, and then they come back.
That's nice. Well, Emerson Williams, State Farm in Smyrna on Enon Springs.
Yes.
And just down from my favorite leather shop, by the way, Buckle and Hide
That's
over there.
That's one of our customers.
Steve is awesome.
Steve and his wife is Sharon is awesome as well. She has done a lot of cool stuff. He does the leather work, but she does everything else.
So if you need a last minute Christmas gift, go see Emerson, talk about your insurance policy, and then $3-4 down.
Yeah, go holler at Steve, man. He'll hook you up.
That's right. The best. Do not ever go to a department store and buy a belt ever again. Ever. Go in there. He's got them all hanging. He cuts them to fit.
He does,
and they're cheaper than what you're going to get at a department store.
He's there like every day.
Yep, and he's awesome. So go see them. But Emerson, thank you for being on here. If you got any questions about insurance, give him a shout. If you need anything real estate related, give me a shout. And if you need a mortgage, hit up our friend Brian Nell over at Iberia Bank Mortgage.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.